Hey, Shalom. I'm going to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders who great mills when they taught me his word. And like I always say, Shalom to the elect, and that's what his lessons are for. Okay, this is an article that I found. It's on RT. It was published April 7th, 2020. Salaki 2021, the year of the hastening and the coming of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. And it says, dumping of Fukushima radioactive water into ocean unavoidable, Japanese Prime Minister says, as country's fisheries reject the plan. It says Japanese Fisheries Union uh, says that it remains opposed to the idea of dumping radioactive water accumulated at the Fukushima nuclear plant into the ocean, as top government officials signal the controversial plan will likely go ahead. It says Japanese uh, Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga met with the head of the National Federation of Fisheries Cooperative Associations, Hiroshi Taishai, on Wednesday, discussing the options for disposing of the radioactive waters. It says, described by the government as treated. It says that have accumulated in storage tanks around the nuclear power plant. The meeting was seemingly not fruitful, with the fisheries union boss saying afterwards that the fisheries group remain opposed to the dumping of tainted water into the ocean. That is set to happen over the course of many years. It reads, while the plan has not yet been signed into policy, it has been widely considered to be the main option on the table for dealing with the buildup. Okay? And we all know, or we should know, about the Fukushima nuclear disaster that was something similar to Chernobyl. All right, the Chernobyl disaster that happened in the 80s over there in Russia. The city of Pripyat had to be completely evacuated. Okay, I believe somewhere in the space of 24 hours. Now they're saying that they want to dump radioactive waters into the ocean. Uh, which guess what? The so-called white man has been dumping radioactive waters into the ocean for many years in barrels that over time decay, and they even had certain organizations that would fight against it. They will protest it. They'll come up there with boats, with their speed boats against these big tankers, and sometimes they'll even drop the nuclear barrels, the nuclear waste barrels, on top of their boats, and jack them up real bad. So this man Esau, nonetheless, he did what he wanted. Now here it is, Moab, Salakia, Ammon, the Japanese, they want to dump nuclear, or should I say radioactive water accumulated by the Fukushima power plant into the ocean, man. You see what I'm saying? That's why the Lord speak about destroying those who destroy the earth. Judging those who destroy the earth, man. Okay? And, these other nations, they're going to have a part in that judgment, because they all going into slavery for a period of 1,000 years. Excuse me for the noise. I'm at the plantation. A lot of, trucks passing by, so on and so forth. All right? But it just goes to show you, man, that these other nations, they're going to have to pay to what they did to the earth, man. And you see these barrels, man. These are supposed to the barrels that are full of nuclear radioactive water, man. Which I'm pretty sure a lot of it already got into the oceans, man. Okay? But let me read this precept real quick. This is Revelation 8 and 11. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood. Okay? Now this is going into the nuclear destruction that's going to come. Because as we all should know, there's going to be a nuclear destruction that's going to happen here in America. Okay? And that star called Wormwood is really talking about a nuclear missile, man. As I did in one of my shows, I mentioned when the scripture says the stars shall fall from heaven, it's really talking about the nuclear missiles, man. All right. Now this nuclear missile is really likened unto all of them because the word wormwood. Let's go into it. Let's see what it says here. It's from the Greek Strong's 894, and it's absinthion, and it says here wormwood, the name of the star which fell into the waters and made the water and made them bitter. Which what it means is made the waters contaminated, made them radioactive. Okay, you see what I'm saying? And now that's what Japan wants to do with the water from the Fukushima power plant. They want to throw it into the oceans and make the oceans radioactive, man. And that's why these fish, they're wondering why are these whales beaching themselves? Because they're not living in a natural environment. They're living in an environment that's been tampered with. The waters have been tampered with. They putting all kind of stuff into the waters, man. All right, plastic, um, the oil, and so on and so forth, man. All right. See, back in the ancient times, we had a place where you'd go and you'd burn, the garbage, man. It was called Gehenna. All right. That's a place where you go and you burn, the garbage, the waste, and whatnot. Instead of burning it, the so-called white man, he um he puts it into the oceans. You know, hey man, but this thing right here is it's inevitable. All right. So anyway, it reads on. I'll read it again. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many died of the waters because they were made bitter. So they were made contaminated and radioactive, man, which is what Japan is seeking to do. All right? But nonetheless, it's going to happen when America is destroyed, man. All right? And the so called white man has been doing that. That's why, like I said, the scripture says, Salak, let me pull the scripture out real quick. This is our Revelation chapter 11, verse 18. It reads, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. And the nations are angry. The nations are angry that the so-called white man, won't let up on them, man. He's pushing his foreign policies all throughout the earth, and he's screwing up other, nations and their traditional customs and whatnot, man. And of course, he's screwing up the money, all right, of the other nations. It says, and thy wrath is come. So the time of the wrath of the Most High is going to be the nuclear destruction, in the which Yahweh Shai is also going to appear. All right, so it's going to be a double whammy. All right, let's say there's going to be all kind of things happening, man. It says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, which are talking about the other nations, man. And 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, to tell you the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So you other nations and the 2/3 of Israel, you're going to get judged. But mainly this is talking about the other nations. It says, and that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Okay? So it says, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. And that's talking about the so-called white man, number one, and these other nations that have followed in his footsteps. Okay, they're gonna all be judged, man. And the prophets, which the apostles and elders, a great millstone, Lord willing, myself, okay, are gonna receive a reward, which is gonna be the penny that it speaks about. All right, in the book of Matthews, which is ultimately gonna be salvation in the kingdom of heaven, man. All right, it reads, and the temple of the Most High was open in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings. It says, and an earthquake and great hail, which is talking about nuclear destruction, man. So pretty much when the Lord comes back, you're gonna see them chariots, you're gonna see them so-called UFOs in the heavens and whatnot, man. There's gonna be all different kinds of things happening, man. It says the lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. Okay, and then the great hail is gonna be the nuclear destruction, and the earthquake is gonna be caused by this nuclear destruction. Me bear with me 1 second. Salakia, man. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so this is Revelation 16 and 18. It says, and there were voices and thunderings and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. It says, so mighty an earthquake and so great. Okay, and that's going to be caused by the nuclear destruction. It says, and the great city, which is America, Babylon, was divided into three parts, and the city. It says, and the cities and nations fell, and great Babylon came into remembrance before the Most High to give unto her the cup of wine of the fierceness of his wrath, which is talking about what? The nuclear destruction, man. This place is going to be jacked up. It's going to be jacked up, okay? And ultimately, it's going to be destroyed by nuclear fire. It says, and every island fled away, right? Because the nuclear destruction is also going to cause a lot of tsunamis and whatnot. And them islands, a lot of them are going to sink, man. So a lot of you people on the islands, you may not get hit with nuclear fire, but your island is gonna fucking sink with you on it, man. All right. The whole thing about Atlantis, that's gonna happen to a lot of them islands, man. It says every island fled away. It says, and there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, nuclear missiles. It says every stone about a weight of a talent. That's talking about the nuclear missiles. And men blasphemed the Most High because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. Yeah, people are going to be cursing out the Most High when that time comes. But ain't going to be nothing you're going to be able to do about it. Okay? Like the scripture said, what if some did not believe? Should that make the faith of the Most High without effect? God forbid. Okay? Hey, man, Lord will, this lesson has been edifying. And I'll be back at you brothers with another one. Lord willing. Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Shabbat.